Iraq hands over its weapons declaration to the UN, but the United States remains sceptical. Hidden budget cost to new house buyers from January, regardless of when contracts were signed. Violent clashes between police and nationalists in Derry following an apprentice boys' parade. And a student Garda rescues 3 men who got into difficulty in the River Liffey in Dublin. A very good evening to you. The United States tonight says it will continue to pursue its campaign to end what it described as Saddam Hussein's accumulation of weapons of mass destruction. Earlier, Iraq handed over a declaration on its weapons program to the United Nations, which runs to 12,000 pages, and again insisted it doesn't have any such weapons.
It was just a tantalising glimpse of the vast dossier which could spell the difference between war and peace. The media were shown dozens of files and CD-ROMs, which Iraq insists contain full and accurate details of its arms programme. UN and nuclear experts will have to pore over 12,000 pages of material, a job expected to take up to 10 days, but they won't find any mention of weapons of mass destruction.
I reiterate here that Iraq has no weapons of mass destruction, but those declarations perhaps contain some activities and equipment which are dual use, and they will be declared fully and completely and accurately to the Security Council and to the UNMOVIC and IAA.
Such denials won't impress the United States. George W. Bush today warns that the declaration must hold up to scrutiny for Iraq to avoid a military strike. The declaration itself won't be made public for another week. That's to allow any sensitive information to be filtered out. As the documents were being handed over, more history was being made. Saddam Hussein for the first time apologised to Kuwait for invading the country in 1990. In the televised address read out on his behalf, he accused the Kuwaiti leadership of conspiring with infidel forces, and he urged the Kuwaiti people to rise up against foreign powers. John O'Driscoll, RTE News.
And Carol Coleman joins us now live from Washington. Carol, it'll be about a week or 10 days before the weapons declaration is seen by the Security Council. That delay surely was unexpected. Is this document going to be totally filtered before the Council see it?
It will be filtered to a certain extent. First of all, it has to be translated because a lot of it is actually in Arabic, so it needs to be put into a format that is readable by everybody concerned. Secondly, the UN doesn't want any of the Security Council members, including Ireland, remember we're still on the Security Council until the end of this month, seeing what it calls sensitive information. They believe that there could be formulas in here for making chemical and biological weapons, and they believe that to disseminate that to any of the members would be to actually break some of the global non-proliferation treaties. But there's a third reason as well, and probably the most important and the most relevant one, is that they just want to get a look at this before any of the other countries like the United States or Britain or France, Russia, China, anyone can start putting their own spin on it.
The United States, Carol's been saying all along that it has its own intelligence that proves that Iraq actually has weapons of mass destruction. Why doesn't it produce the proof then?
Well, the United States is playing its own game here. It wants to be able to let Saddam Hussein put his cards on the table first. Let's see what he has. Then the United States can go to the Security Council and say, well, he's left out X, Y, and Z, that according to our intelligence that he has, therefore he's in material breach, therefore we have a right to go to war against him. That's the game the United States is playing.
Unusually tonight, President Saddam Hussein apologised to Kuwait for the invasion 12 years ago. Kuwait isn't impressed with that.
Well, Saddam Hussein, of course, has a flair for the dramatic. He's actually saying to the entire world now, look, not only have I handed over my declaration on weapons of mass destruction, but I'm also apologising for my past sins. He's expecting the world to take note of that. Therefore, it would make it harder to build a case for going to war against him. Whether anybody is taking that seriously or not, it's difficult to know. Saddam Hussein at this stage is an endangered species. He knows that. He's acting like an endangered species. He's fighting for his survival.
Thanks very much indeed for that update, Carol Coleman in Washington. In Bangladesh, at least 15 people are reported to have been killed and more than 100 wounded in a series of bomb blasts in the north of the country. The bombs exploded around the same time at 4 cinemas in Mymensingh town, 95 miles north of the capital Dhaka. The country's Home Minister said he believed the attacks could be the work of Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda network or some other terror group. Opposition TDs and the Irish Home Builders Association have said they're outraged that buyers of new houses will have to pay new VAT charges even though they enter their contracts before the budget. The 1% VAT increase comes